People of the world, why are we here? From first love to landing on the moon to new music and new friends. This is the second West Midlands Weekender, and we are here to show you our firsts. You may have tuned in to the Make It WM stream last week, which looked at ritual, the coming together of human beings as a regular human phenomenon. This need for us to explore and connect is universal. To perform together, to push the earthly boundaries of creativity, of possibility. Some of the artists and companies you saw last week, you may see again today in a new and different way. Today is a remarkable day. It marks 100 years since the formation of the City of Birmingham's Symphony Orchestra, the country's first publicly funded orchestra. 100 years since the country said, this music is a public good. It should be for all. In those 100 years, the orchestra, like the city it lives in, has been a constant source of invention and reinvention. A city of movement, a city of music, and a city of dance. An industrial region, a region of makers and a region of shakers. What we bring to you over the next 2 hours is a journey from those very inventors and reinventors as they present their work on our platform in a first for many during this global pandemic. We are all interconnected on this earth, and we start by recognizing that with 2 pieces about the first photo of the earth and the first moon landings, and our creative responses to those firsts. We are opening with Motion House's Gravity, a piece created in 2019 in response to the moon landings in 1969, a first for mankind, and Alec Croft's Earthrise, an ex-cathedra commission with powerful imagery related to Apollo 8 and seeing the Earth from space, followed by more music from them.
All great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties and must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. Man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. Well, space is there, and the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. The exploration of space will go ahead, and it is one of the great adventures of all time, and no nation can expect to stay behind in this race of space.
This Houston contact with a test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the test. Contact, Hawaii contact, 100% keen and modulation installed. Okay, we checked all 4 systems and there you go on modulation, all 4 and keen with a go.
T-minus 15 seconds. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We confirm
This reporter feels good.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are confirmed to go for orbit. Apollo 11, thank you. Roger that. left-hand window. We're looking at the ocean with a definite blue cast. See white bands of major cloud formations across the Earth.
this is Houston, contact with a test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4.
Auditec, omnes gentes, auribus percipite, omnes qui habitatis orbem quique terrigine, et filii hominum in unum dives et pauper. Os meum loquetur sapientia, et
From Mozart to Beethoven and more. We've just heard pieces by Alec Roth, Judith Weir, conducted by Hilary Campbell in a first online singing workshop. Ex Cathedra are 50 and the orchestra turn 100. The West Midlands have some fine and long-standing organisations which help make the fabric of this region. But from that view of Earthrise, we know that we must welcome the new. People move and seek out new places. One person's music can influence another. This region is a mercantile one, a global one. In 2019, the Symphony Orchestra of India, India's first and only professional symphony orchestra, made their UK debut at the Symphony Hall. For you now, we have Zain Dalal and Zakir Hussain, interspersed with clips from their global performances. The orchestra are a vital component in India's growing prestige on the world stage.
DesiBlitz.com.
Hi, I'm Zain Dalal. I'm the Associate Music Director of the Symphony Orchestra of India. We're here in Birmingham for our concert tonight, and you're watching DesiBlitz.com.
Hi, this is Faisal from DesiBlitz.com. We have with us today Zain Dalal. He's the conductor for the Symphony Orchestra of India. Zain, welcome to DesiBlitz.com.
Thank you so much for having me.
You were born in England.
That's right.
Tell us about your childhood and interests in music.
Well, it's a little bit of a convoluted story, but I was born in London in 1964. And then from prep school onwards, age of 7.5, 8 onwards, I went through the whole sausage mill, if you like, of English education, Summerfields, Charterhouse, and then up at Oriel. And I was very fortunate, though I didn't know it then, to go to schools that had some sort of a musical background. But the first thing I have to say was that at Summerfields, which was a high Anglo-Catholic tradition school, at least in 1972, I was blown away by the sound of the church organ. And what was that instrument where it was shaking the wood you sat on? It was shaking the whole building. This was really something special. And I'd made up my mind. That was the instrument I was going to learn. And lots of crying and kicking and screaming later, my feet couldn't reach the pedals. So very disappointedly, very dejectedly, I started on the piano. And somewhere along the line, became fairly competent at both, ended up with the organ scholarship at Oriel College, and then training the chapel choir, which then led me into conducting, which then led me into a course in orchestral conducting, and the rest is sort of the piece-by-piece pile-on that happens.
Do you still play these two instruments?
I do. In fact, I arranged with Richard, I don't know with Richard Hawley, if it's possible to, after the sound check, have a go on the instrument here, because I think it's marvellous.
What was your first debut like conducting an orchestra?
That's a wonderful question. It takes me back. It was at Indiana University. I had just been received into the conductor's course, and first year students don't get to do a concert, but there I was in my first term, and they said, you're going to do Iphigenia in Aulis, the overture to Iphigenia in Aulis by Gluck. It's a piece that I would not have treasured as much as I do had it not been the first piece I conducted. And I remember coming off stage. At this point, I'd been singing, I'd been head of the choir, I'd been training choirs, I'd been a harpsichordist, a pianist, an organist. I didn't really know where it was all going to end up until that moment and that concert, and watching the exit lights go away behind me, and that promise of the orchestra, and bringing down your hand and having all these people play with the inflection and gesture of your hand. This was incredibly satisfying. And I remember coming off stage and rushing to my professor and saying, this is it, this is what I want to do. And he sort of very dryly, yeah, I know. How did he know? I didn't know. But it was one of those moments. And that led me to more and more. And then by the time I left Indiana University, I was assistant to the opera department, and working with operas and singers and coaching and stuff. So it's very broad projects they have there.
What is your view on the Indian music scene today versus the past? Is live music struggling?
Live traditional music is very strong. It's doing very well. And when you say Indian music, do you mean everything? You mean ghazals, qawwalis, Sufis, Bollywood and everything? I think India in general is asserting its authority on the canvas of world music. It has now become one of the premier sound source of music all across the planet. And that is something to be very proud of. It was a long time coming. It has arrived. It was a journey that was started by Pandit Ravi Shankar and my father Ustad Allah Rakha way back in the late 50s, early 60s. They worked, they toiled hard, and managed to get us to a point where Woodstock arrived and Monterey Pop Festival arrived, and they were touted as some of the greatest musicians of our time. It focused on India. Before India was an economic power, the West lauded India, respected India, loved India for its tradition, its culture. Yoga, meditation, Ayurvedic treatments, music, and all. That's what the world saw of India. And only in the last 10 years or so, now it has become an economic power. But music element, the art element, has always been what India is special about, excels. And it's true, whenever you get to a new country, it's through their culture that you get to know the country, not through how much money they have. It's the culture that's very important. That's how you know the people and you understand what they are all about and how to interact with them. And so I would have to say that yes, India is now most certainly one of the premier cultural hubs of the world.
What are the most challenging things for you as a conductor?
It's such a large question to answer because there are so many challenges. But the biggest challenge is also the biggest reward if you can get it right. Music, once you put it in the right way, once you start it, is a living organism. It's like holding a live bird in your hand. A little bit too much and things can go wrong, a little bit too little and things can go wrong. The balance of knowing that you're working with a live organism with all these marvelous musicians in front of you, the one thing is the greatest challenge and also the greatest reward is not to disturb it. It's like having those, I don't know if you've seen them or not, I'm going back into antiquity really, but no child plays with these anymore, but there used to be those tops that you spun with rope, with strings, right? And it's all in the motion of setting it go. If you decide in the middle, it's not going fast enough, or I want it to tilt, or that, and you mess around with it, it will break what you have set in motion. So it is in many ways, it's the upbeat that is the most important. And then you have to learn to get out of the way. And the musicians must play as if it was their idea, what you want. And so that challenge, and it's marvelous, working that out in rehearsal and allowing it to blossom in concert. I think that's probably the most challenging and the most rewarding aspects of it.
Have you been in a situation where things started to get a little bit wrong, and how did you overcome that situation?
One does occasionally have moments that happen, hopefully not too often, in the actual concert. That's what the rehearsals are there for, to make sure that we don't have extraordinary moments. But the issue is to trust, and a trust that has to develop sometimes over time between the players and you. They must trust that you will be able to bring them back on, and they must trust also that you will wait for them to sort themselves out, because everybody knows instinctively when that moment occurs, and we hope it doesn't. I mean, it's not a pleasant moment. I'm surprised you're asking me about it.
You're performing in Birmingham with the Symphony Orchestra of India. How have the preparations come along, and what can fans expect?
Well, first of all, I hope the fans come with an open mind, not with preconceived ideas, because that would mean that we'd have to first spend an hour breaking them down. We don't have that kind of time. When you're playing a concerto, you have a limited amount of time, and in that you have to convince them that what they are hearing is something special. So, first of all, this is one of the first attempt at this kind of things. I don't think there was, when this tabla concerto was commissioned, I don't think there was any other tabla concerto ever written. Yes, there was a sitar concerto written, but not a tabla concerto. So, and to take a rhythm instrument sitting in the center of 95 melodic instruments and have it be the lead or the solo instrument sounds kind of wacky in the American sense. But it is something that they interested me with. They thought I could do it. They trusted me with it, and they asked me to do it. And then as I was going along, I figured out this actually is the way to go about it, because when you have a sitar concerto, a sitar is conveying a raga mode, performing a raga scale. And a raga does not allow for any other notes to exist inside of it except for the one prescribed for the raga. And that means Western harmonies and counterpoints, canons, and all those styles are very dangerously out of place in that system. But when you're a rhythm player, you don't have to worry about all that. As a rhythm player, you bring your rhythmic repertoire up, and then you color it with all these harmonic and sonic elements, melodic elements that are around you, and actually have them play tabla, but melodically. And so, it became really a fun thing to do, easy to do. I had great help from two really very dear friends of mine. One was a bass player, a classical bass player named Edgar Maya, and the other one was a man called Osam Ezeldin, who was a piano player. And they kind of assisted me and helped me to figure out how to orchestrate it. I could write the melodies, but someone had to figure out which instrument would be best suited for this particular passage or that particular passage. And for that, you needed an orchestral arranger. And so that help came from them. But melodically, this is a repertoire of tabla that has been tuned. Instead of dha, dhin, tete, ghege, you have sa, ga, ma, dha, those syllables. And because I'm a rhythm player, I'm taking liberties and using harmonies and counterpoints and canons and all those elements that Western classical music provides. And so that's how it all came together. It was a fun and a great learning experience. And, I am really flattered that they chose me, and thankful to the Symphony Orchestra of India for commissioning for me for this. And I'm eager to share this along with the SOI, Symphony Orchestra of India, the piece with the audience in Birmingham. And I'm hoping that they would, accept it as a humble offering. It's the first of its kind, so therefore there are, I'm sure, elements which still need chipping and chiseling and all that stuff. It's a work in progress, and hopefully the next tabla concerto might be concerto number 2, might be, more towards what it should be.
When did you join the Symphony Orchestra of India?
I joined in 2007, in June 2007, and they'd just been officially in operation since August 2006, so a few months after their founding. And I served as resident conductor until 2014, and then was appointed associate music director, along with Marat Bizingaliev, our music director. And we work hand in glove with our chairman at the NCPA to try and make the most we can out of this extraordinary opportunity. We have an orchestra in a place where, at first blush, it doesn't belong, which means that our responsibility for doing it in the right way just shot through the roof. And that's been foremost in our minds, the bright light on the horizon. Are we doing it to a level and a way that will provide the promise for thousands of Indian children coming behind us, feeding the orchestra with the right kind of sensibilities, becoming part of the community, doing the outreach, doing the education, starting the schools, finding Indian children and inducting them into this wonderful art form for their talents. Also, largely, not selfishly, but we'd like people to join the orchestra who are trained properly and are fantastic musicians who happen to be local. And that promise doesn't happen in the 13 years we've been at it. It's a blink of an eye. We're a new baby on the block, really. Many orchestras have 120, 150 year tradition, and many great cities in the West, this one particularly, has conservatories with that length of tradition. So we don't have the luxury of choosing from 300 violins and 25 oboes every year. We have to build the step, stand on it, make sure it could take our weight, and then build the next step. I find that incredibly rewarding and satisfying, because if you do it right and you actually built the step, there's something marvelous about that feeling, that investment in it. It's not okay, then you do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you'll have a symphony orchestra, and then you'll have this and you'll have that. And I think if we were doing that in any European centre or in any US centre, or for that matter in any South American centre, or even in Beijing or Tokyo or Seoul, it's a Western soundscape, not in India. We have a very rich, very strong, very vibrant music tradition of our own. Hindustani music is alive and well. And our orchestra and our musicians and our children who are learning to put both side by side and enjoy and pick from both what they like. And I think that's very exciting too.
Thank you, Zain Dalal, for joining us on DesiBlitz.com.
Thanks very much for having me. It's a pleasure. And it's great to be here in Birmingham.
From symphony orchestras to solo musicians, most of us are intrinsically driven to create, experiment and try something new. The pieces you're about to watch have been created under the formal guidance of the world-renowned tabla maestro and composer Savar Sabri from the Sonia Sabri Dance and Music Company. Savar himself has worked with the CBSO on a number of projects and productions, and has been overseeing students learning tabla percussion instrumental and vocals from Indian classical genres, who will be sharing their new compositions that they have been learning, creating and developing during lockdown.
Hi, I'm Savar Sabri. I am co-founder and musical director of Sonia Sabri Company. I'm very pleased to bring to you Veena and vocal recital by mother and son duo Ambika and Saurav Billari. They'll present Varnam from the Carnatic or the South Indian musical repertoire. The Ragam or the melodic scale is Mohanam, and the Talam or the rhythmic cycle is Adi, which is an 8-beat cycle.
Sari ga da da pa ga ri sa ga da pa ga ri ga ga sa da pa ga ri ga ga ri ga ri sa ri ga ga pa da da sa ri ga 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 da pa ga ri ga ga sa da pa ga ri
I'm very excited to present to you my student Ruben Sayambi, who will perform a short solo on tabla. He will present Teen Tal, which is a time cycle of 16 beats, divided into 4 groups of 4 beats each. He will present various compositions. These compositions are learned by memorizing syllables which mimic the sound produced on the drums. Go. I'm very pleased to present vocal recital based on Carnatic or South Indian music by Lasya Vasisht. She will present a song based on Ragam, the melodic scale, Bhoga Vasanta. The song describes the one who is tired of materialistic world and turns to Almighty for the light of hope.
ದೀಪವು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಗಾಳಿಯು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಆರದಿರಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಕಡಲು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಹಡಗು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಮುಳುಗದಿರಲಿ ಬದುಕು ದೀಪವು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಗಾಳಿಯು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಆರದಿರಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಬೆಟ್ಟವು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಬಯಲು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಹಬ್ಬಿರಗಲಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಬೆಟ್ಟವು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಬಯಲು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಹಬ್ಬಿರಗಲಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ನೆರಳು ಬಿಸಿಲು ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ನಿನ್ನದೇ ನೆರಳು ಬಿಸಿಲು ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಇರಲಿ ಕರೀತಿ ದೀಪವು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಗಾಳಿಯು ನಿನ್ನದೇ ಆರದಿರಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಅಲ್ಲಿರಣದೊಂದು ಭೀ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ವೀಣೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿಧ್ವನಿ ದೀಪವು ನಿನ್ನದೆ ಗಾಳಿಯು ನಿನ್ನದೆ ಹಾರದಿರಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಕಡಲು ನಿನ್ನದೆ ಹಡಗು ನಿನ್ನದೆ ಮುಳುಗದಿರಲಿ ಬದುಕು ದೀಪವು ನಿನ್ನದೆ ಗಾಳಿಯು ನಿನ್ನದೆ ಆರದಿರಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು.
I'm very pleased to introduce my student Anant Kapoor for his first solo dhol performance. Dhol is one of the most popular instruments used in folk music of Punjab. This piece is inspired by farmers' movements during the harvest festival. I'm very excited to present a Rajasthani folk song by my student Pulkit Sharma. The song describes the flight of a colorful and adventurous parrot called Mittu. Pulkit will also play khartal, which is two pieces of wood struck together to provide percussive accompaniment.
मिठो मिठो मेरी बोले मिठो 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 मेरी बोले मिठो 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 मेरे बोल ओ मेरे दाता रे सुआ दाता रे सुआ मिठो 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 मिठा मेरी बोल मिठो 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 मिठा मेरी बोल मिठो 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 मिठा मेरी बोल ओ मेरे दाता रे सुआ ओ मिठो मिठो बोले मोरे दाता रे सुआ हथड़ी रे सुने चुन चुगावो हथड़ी रे सुने चुन चुगावो हथड़ी रे सुने चुन चुगावो प्याल में दारू पिलावो मोरे दाता रे सुआ प्याल में दारू पिलावो मोरे दाता रे सुआ कैसे घबराए अमृत बोल हो मोरे दाता रे सुआ दाता रे सुआ नीचे उड़ू तो मना बाज झपटिले नीचे उड़ू तो मना बाज झपटिले नीचे उड़ू तो मना बाज झपटिले ऊंच हुड़ियो जाओ मोरे दाता रे सुआ ऊंच हुड़ियो जाओ मोरे दाता रे सुआ कैसे घबराए अमृत बोल हो मोरे दाता रे सुआ दाता रे सुआ मिठो 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 मेरी बोल मिठो 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 मेरी बोल मिठो 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 अमृत बोल.
Our communities wanted to share their other experiences of firsts. Chariot Riders is a touching animation about the experience of feeling love for the first time and wondering whether that love is reciprocated. Produced, conceived and commissioned by Bobby Tawana as part of the Loveworks duality with its sister film Little Elephant. Loveworks is an accumulation of a body of work over 5 years to increase the visibility of South Asian LGBTQ+ voices. We are pleased to share this video about First Love, followed by a short in-discussion with producer Bobby Tawana on the story, its origins, and how the strength of feeling connected to something for the first time can be so strong.
I don't like anything Indian. Indian food, don't like it. Indian clothes, don't like them. Indian films, I can't even. But Ashok, you are Indian, you say. And I say, I'm Ash. Which you know, mate, basically winding me up. It is Ash. You're brown, Ashok, you say. You're browner than me. I say, shut up, Kuldeep. My mum's Indian, my dad's Indian, my sister's Indian, and I don't refuse to eat the food, and I don't refuse to wear the clothes. I make sure I look basically not happy about it though. Wedding photos, I look like I've got some kind of guttache. I do not watch the films. I watch Hollywood with action. Singing and dancing is not action. I can't even. I said to you, come over to mine, mate. I've got the sequel, pirate DVD of my cousin. Not even people in America have seen this yet. Indians do pirate DVDs. That is one thing. Skive after lunch. School is basically void in summer because you've done your exams and it's too hot and basically no one is listening. I bought my bike, and so we Skive double English and citizenship, which are basically things that have no point whatsoever anyway. And it's hot, but not bare hot. Breeze over the wreck as I let you ride my bike on the bit that says cycling not allowed. And I'm on the back and you wobble to try topple me, but if you did it too much you'd crash. So I hang on, and we're back at mine, and all my people's is at work, which I knew. And we're on the sofa, and I've got some juice from the fridge, and I've let you have the remote. And it's a sequel, so it's basically bad. There's when they're in the car, and it's about to blow up, and they go basically flying. That's probably the sickest bit. And then there's a whole moist story about them being best friends, but one's working for the CIA, or the DEA or something, and he needs to betray the other one. Otherwise, some people you don't care jack about are going to basically die. And then there's just been Raj carnage. The bad homies have got blown away, and it's just them among the bodies. Him and him. And you're watching the DVD on our sofa, and I thought I could kiss you. I could basically kiss you. I'm still pretending to watch the DVD, but basically, I'm watching that little line below your nose and above your lips, where there's some soft black hairs that ain't quite attached yet. And I'm thinking about what it would be like to blow gently on those little black hairs, and to run my finger across the soft brown skin under those little black hairs, and to put my lips against. And you must have got a vibe or something because you turned away from the screen where they were blasting away at each other, and you looked at me and you said, "What?" And I thought, I'm about to die. And I said, "What?" You said, "Ashok?" And I said, "Kuldeep." I was basically wondering what it would be like to blow gently on the hair above your lips. No, I didn't. I said, "What?" And there was the longest pause in the history of the entire world. And you smiled. And I thought you knew. And Mum came home. And she said, "Did you want to stay for something to eat?" And you did. And I wanted to ask if when you smiled, it was because you knew. And if it was going to be okay. But, well, I didn't. I don't like anything Indian. Except you, Kuldeep. I like you a lot. I basically love you. And tomorrow afternoon maybe I'll tell you. Or maybe another afternoon. This summer. I hope you're not listening to this. Except, I sort of hope you are.
I'm Bobby Tawana, and I'd just like to say thank you. It's been a privilege to share Chariot Riders with you. I just thought I'd let you know something a bit more about the film, how it came about. Back in August 2011, I was in India with my partner for the first time together in India with him. And we were in his home city of Bangalore. And we went to a gay men's group. And we'd never been in a room full of Indian gay men before, people who were out living their lives and still having good relationships with their families. We walked away from that room full of hope and optimism for the future. Coming back to the UK, that stayed with me, those feelings stayed with me about how we could be striving for something better, how even though I'd grown up here all my life in the UK, you know, things could be better in terms of acceptance and visibility. And from there, the idea came about to do something about it by increasing representation through film and animation of gay and lesbian characters. And from it came the idea of Chariot Riders. You know, first love is a theme we can all relate to, whatever your sexuality. It's something that's universal. I hope you enjoyed watching it.
Love, a universal theme in music. More from Ex Cathedra now with a Moravian folk song. Bach, a core component in their repertoire, and Jerusalem, a rallying call to build a better world. This is Liz Johnson's take on Parry's anthem. This is a premiere performance of Jerusalem, which makes it relevant to 2020, with a specially written middle section. Blake asks questions and leaves space for the performers to provide and improvise their answers. You will see participants hold up their answers on cards. New digital firsts and online collaborations seem to be the new norm. And now, from Sonia Sabri's company's lockdown music making we saw earlier to Dance Connect's movement collaboration. The piece you're about to see is a creative experiment collaborating remotely from our homes. Follow the story of the process in a documentary by filmmaker Wayne Sables, followed by a piece to emerge, Afro Shaolin Warriors Summer School Mix, created in collaboration with independent dance artists Oliver Robert Russell and Christopher Radford, filmmaker Anthony Shentai, young dancers from the Dance Exchange Centre for Advanced Training, and young dance leader Lexi Garner.
"11 dance professionals from across the West Midlands worked with young people to explore some key questions. What kind of dance collaboration can only be created when we can't dance together in person? What does quality look like in this way of working? We asked digital artists to help us figure out a process and explore how digital elements create new possibilities. We were excited and energised by the opportunity to experiment and innovate during COVID-19 lockdown and to pursue our ambitions for a region-wide collaborative youth dance project.
I'm from Afrofusion, Ali's from Shaolin Kung Fu, Fusion with Contemporary, and our aim is to create a technique or a movement language called Afro Shaolin Fusion. We've got a couple of pre-recorded technique classes that we're going to give them, some live creative sessions we're going to do with them. We're asking them to film everything they do. Like, so for example, once the session's over, / once the task's over, they'll film everything they do, send it to us. So we'll start creating big load of digital material of us doing similar things gradually.
Having this opportunity to do this, to work collaboratively, to keep creating art and sharing art as opposed to teaching. That was one of mine and Chris's main approaches to this, was we were going to share this approach with them.
Combining Afrofusion and Shaolin Kung Fu was really, really interesting, and I was really excited to be a part of this particular group. They're two styles that seem very opposite and worlds apart, but they have a lot in common, and it was really interesting to uncover these throughout.
It's been really nice to actually have someone say, actually, just chill out and just experiment, which is just gorgeous.
My name is Wayne Sables and I'm a filmmaker and digital artist.
My name is Anthony Shintai Amaro and I am the supporting digital artist.
The transition from running live classes to going online has been very challenging. So the crossover to digital, I am learning so much so quickly that sometimes it's really overwhelming. I get so excited about the camera angles and the way of working because I've always wanted to do this.
I think anyone would know popping and locking takes a long time to sort of master. However, they did, you know, when we were doing the workshops, the second one was really, really good. I think the first one, they were sort of, what the hell is this? And then the second one, they sort of got into it a bit more. And
Contract 1, 2, up 3, 4, contract 5, 6, head goes round 7, 8.
The first few weeks were just about breaking down barriers with using technology and trying to cross those boundaries with our dancers. So we've done a lot of exchanging skills in terms of Jamie Lee's popping, locking, and my contemporary style. It worked really well. It was focused. It was stressful at times to get the kind of qualities that we wanted, and we discovered that, you know, to get that exchange of styles is going to take a longer period of time.
We worked with 8 of our young people from each of our groups to continue on some video and creative challenges. Wayne kind of gave some guidance, again, like with some different filming techniques, still around the idea of identity. So they went away, done some individual challenges, and then came back together. And Wayne made us a beautiful little trailer that had lots of different movement ideas in there, again, around identity.
You're like hip hop commercial, you are like song.
Yeah,
we start with the song. Whereas with like contemporary, I might find a track that fits my theme, fits my idea. It might be that I start with the music. Sometimes I start with the movement and the music comes afterwards through like exploring different stuff.
Yeah, no, and I think because again it's digital, I think like what Faye said is really great, just in terms of we can use music how we like, but also sometimes it's good to just start from a blank canvas so there is no music, because I think like you said, often within our respective disciplines we all like you said, I know for us it's always like a theme or the mood, or we're trying to get a message across to the audience about, I don't know, depression or whatever the theme might be.
A big thing was for us was to create an opportunity for our young people to have an input into how they wanted to work and to come up with their own tasks as well. And they came up with some really great stuff that we were able to do a bit of a vote on, and they then went away and had a try at what they'd come up with, and that worked really, really lovely. They felt that they had responsibility then over their own work. It was nice for us to hear their ideas and mould them all together as well, which was great.
I am Katie. I have been working as one of the young leaders in the project, and I've been shadowing the producing team throughout, and Johnny and Catherine's bubble of exploration. We were very interested in exploring the collaboration between digital and dance.
Can we be critical on Sadie's picture? Because we're all helping each other. What do you think? James, Jim, Evie, I haven't heard your voice.
Maybe because like you're wearing a jacket, maybe kind of put it towards like the sofa, like it's kind of falling off.
That's a really good idea. So the hair is good. Sadie did the hair, very good. The jacket. What about the angle of the camera?
It's not high enough.
That was quite interesting from last week when we realized that we wanted to give them a little bit of technical skills in terms of digital. That wasn't just filming with your phone and then leave it at that. That they've learned, I think they've learned a lot around framing and the lights, and then looking back at it, not just for a TikTok or an Instagram live story, to really think if it looks, how good can it look on a screen, on a wider screen or a bigger screen, or for something that we can look as a piece of art kind of thing. So getting them to having one task where they can try to do the edit themselves, I think gave them a lot of appreciation of the work it takes to do digital art and editing, and some of them struggled, and I struggled personally. So it's like it's not just dance on screen. There's a whole lot of skills that I've been.
Young people are absolutely at the forefront of the work that the artists have been making.
So I'm a contemporary dancer, but often use elements from free running and parkour, and use bits of set in my work quite a lot. And Rachel is a contemporary dancer as well, but is working with inclusive participants, so those with learning and physical disabilities, and how you can make that accessible to them. And our whole process was how we can kind of combine them two things, how we can make using set and kind of parkour-based elements accessible for those young people with learning or physical disabilities.
And particularly about making it as an enjoyable process for them, and making my young people be able to connect with them and vice versa.
And I think there's something about having other non-disabled young people and being inclusively on that journey together that just raises the bar for them in terms of focus, concentration. Everything just gets up a step or two, and it's just further, for me, this project has further highlighted how we need to bring more people together.
This whole like digital aspect of it, for me, it was how I can balance the digital and how I can balance the inclusivity. So that was like a big thing of what I learned in the whole project.
The extra challenge of making sure that everything we're delivering is comfortable and accessible for everyone to consider.
Yeah.
Not only were we navigating working with our young people, we were navigating working with our young people and their parents and carers, and
absolutely
part of the project, because they were in our thought process in terms of how are we going to enable them to be able to submit something to us.
Highlights for me would definitely be the response that we've had from the girls, the participants that we're working with, seeing how they grew, how they developed throughout the process.
Seeing that like little moments of, oh, I've got this idea and I've got that idea, and I think that's been a really good experience for them to adapt to this situation in front of a computer screen, but also work with others, and we don't get the chance to do that very often. So that's been such a high for me, definitely.
This project for me has taught me that yes, you need a set of guidelines and you need a set of boundaries, but they're not a stone wall. You can break through those ideas that we have or those boundaries we have and come to a completely new place.
That this general way of collaboration brings a real rawness and vulnerability to everyone involved. One being that because you're in a space that isn't a studio, like you're in your own personal space, wherever that be, you present yourself and anything that comes into the space, whether it's a person, anything.
It's really important also to recognise that we're all West Midlands based artists, and we're all from Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Coventry, Herefordshire and further afield, and we're feeding into our own Midlands based dance practice.
It's like when you think of dancing, you just think of dancing in a studio. You don't think of like dancing on a field, or like I was at the top of my staircase and I'd never think to dance there.
It was just different to what we usually do, as in like, because we don't normally come to dance class and go in a cramped space and dance. So it was like a different mindset that we had to have.
It kind of opened up new ways of working for me, especially because I've never had to, direct via, a computer screen. So it was just shown how like there's possibilities with technology to kind of still be able to get the result you want.
It's just been really great, even just to have the opportunity to kind of reimagine the way we work from a digital perspective.
Kids have really enjoyed sort of learning two different styles, but then I've learned a lot as well from it.
The feedback I've had has always come from the young people first, and that's, for me, that's really amazing, because actually you get a real honest interpretation of the work you've made.
You take something away, sometimes it comes and creates the most interesting movement potential because you haven't moved that way before, because it's something fresh and new. And I feel like that applies to this whole situation. By taking away the ability for us to be able to connect with people on a day-to-day basis, it's allowed us to then find a new way to connect and understand different ways of meeting people, dancing with people, learning things of people, applying yourself to your own artistry.
I've learned what my phone can do, because I couldn't do anything on my phone before, so that's good.
I've gained confidence massively. Like I would never talk in front of anyone before.
To just like have fun rather than worrying.
It was interesting because I got to work with different camera angles that I wouldn't think of using. Like, I wouldn't think of using my playing window to record something.
The learning is all about accessibility. What's accessible, what isn't, what technology is accessible, what includes and what embraces.
One thing I've learned from dancing and collaborating at home is that nothing should ever be a barrier, but rather an opportunity to explore, to experiment and to reinterpret whatever's being handed to us.
It was really good to exchange ideas with some of the other dance leaders and dance artists, because that's something which I've actually never done before myself. And it just kind of gave me an understanding of kind of the template of building an idea and then building on top of it, like laying the foundation and then structuring it on top.
Throughout the whole project, we all had a say in everything, all the young dance leaders, which was really great, and it was really nice to have that responsibility.
The main things I think we've learned that our young people are really resilient and versatile. They came together in small groups, developed choreography, made choreography with people that they had never met before, never spoken to, and they choreographed within two different styles that were unknown to them.
It's been like a really great opportunity to collaborate with others and connect, like I said, with different styles, different practices, learn new ideas, develop new forms as well, to develop creativity throughout the process.
With Birmingham Commonwealth Games coming up and Conscious City of Culture and all these massive world events that are happening, having us be able to upskill ourselves and provide a cross-section of different dance forms across the region is brilliant.
This is just the start of an amazing, audacious, ambitious adventure. We want to build on and develop what we've learnt, bringing together more young people to collaborate across dance styles and borders, and to create new, interlinked live and digital dance works, responding to the unique outdoor spaces in their areas. A portrait of the West Midlands as seen through the eyes of young people.
not doing our solo, we're doing like movements based on like Afrofusion and Shaolin things.
That's it.
We hope you've enjoyed this journey through our region's firsts. Even in lockdown, this region can't help but burst with music and creativity, all the things that we thirst, and we've experienced it together, being completely submersed. As you can see, our creatives are still aiming for the sky, still defying gravity, believing that they can fly. Off camera, those pieces brought a tear to my eye. But in a first for me, I held it down and managed not to cry. So thank you to those artists for collaborating and working at home. We know it's not the same with a camera and you on your own, but we as an audience were welcomed right into your zone. Your tenacity and talent has truly been shown. Please, at 7 p.m, join the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra for their 100th birthday celebrations. Filmed from PRG Live at their warehouse in Longbridge, Birmingham, and streamed live. There will be many acknowledgements to firsts in that programme. You can find it over at the CBSO's YouTube channel. This stream and that has been produced by Outdoor Places, Unusual Spaces. We hope you've enjoyed your first digital journey with us.